Ayon?
Yeah, if you use those words, doesn't it automatically become a mitzvah?
That's like Nishta Shabbos Geret, that type thing.
Yeah.
Say Nishta Shabbos Geret and then talk about whatever you want. Yeah. I don't know, Tassim. I think people say as Chataya and Emaskirin when they didn't really do a chet. Right? I think. But it's a real chet. No, it could be a gaiva to do it. I think we saw that off at Sadiq. It could be a gaiva to tell everybody your chet. It's almost like you're not so concerned. Yeah. Okay.
How did those Van Wyck shilas end up on Friday?
One ended up by, I think at 22, I got off the phone and I couldn't even hang up the phone because it was already Shabbos. I was afraid. It was right by Shkia. He ended up parking near, I don't know where he ended up parking, but he was right around the motor vehicles, which is not such a bad walk. The other one going to the hospital, I don't know about. And the one that went to the hospital had a baby boy. So Baruch Hashem for that. Now, I want to tell you, Taka, this is interesting. We were discussing in yesterday's daf about Malva, what do you call it? Kedushin b'milva, right? That if a guy borrows money if a guy owes money to a woman and she tells him that, okay, be Michael, I'll Michael the money, you marry me, right? So it's a machlokes the Tanoim, whether that works. So we were discussing, does he have to take it off of Maisa? Or she have to take it off of Maisa? Right? If you have debt relief, we discussed it on Friday. If you have debt relief, should you take it off of Maisa? So of course, Baruch Hashem, I made a siyum finally on the Reb Chaim Kanievsky book. It's this wild Maisa with Reb Chaim. His driver once got pulled over for a ticket near, I don't know, outside Bnei Brak. So the guy takes his license, and then the guy chops that he'll run up to the cop, leave the car, tell the cop, you know how I'm driving? I'm driving Reb Chaim Kanievsky. So he went and he did it, and he told the cop, and the cop said, really? Okay, if you get me a bracha, then I'm not going to write you a ticket. And then the other cop heard the same thing. They said, okay, he says, okay, come to the car. So they come to the car, and Reb Chaim gives them a bracha. Fine, they leave, no ticket. So the guy tells Reb Chaim, by the way, your bracha got me out of the ticket. So Reb Chaim says to him, how much was the ticket? He says, would be 270 shekel. He says, okay, you owe 27 shekel to my son. You can't even make it up. I can't say I understand that psak, but based on our Gemara, maybe. Right? Maybe. I mean, fascinating story. Yeah, especially after we just learning about it. It's like, wow. Yeah. Anyways, okay. So we're up to Amar Rabba Bava. It's a hard place to find because there's no Tosis. I would say about 15 wide lines down in the middle wide lines. Somewhere about halfway down in the middle wide lines. Amar Rabba Bar Khan, Amar Rabbi Yochanan.
Look for the Lazi Rashi. It's very easy to find.
Yeah.
It's easy to find if you were on Friday and you marked it off.
Oh, that would be responsible.
That's what I did.
Oh, you're a responsible guy.
David, aren't you supposed to be Avos Abanim?
No, you guys waited for me.
Yeah.
By the way, there's 4 more weeks. That's it.
4 more?
4 more.
Can't wait till it's over.
I feel the same way.
There you go. Okay, you see it? Amar Rabba Amar Rabbi Yochanan. So
no, I don't know. What's the first word on the line?
The Kaimalon. 3, 6, 9, 12.
Rabbi Yochanan is the last word on the line.
Yeah, about 15.
Maybe easier that way.
Down 15 of the middle wide lines down. On Tzadi Tesam base.
I'm telling you, you're such a Russian Marusha. It's terrible.
Rabban has this Chofetz Chaim hat on tonight. Watch out.
Yeah. He has to behave. Did Did you find it?
What's your business?
Okay, so let's just start.
We were waiting for you to see if you had it.
I guess I didn't miss anything.
You missed a few mishnayos and some mussar.
I didn't miss anything.
And a story,
Which did not sink in yet. The Muslim did not sink in yet.
So Yaakov, you give me the ladies' share at 9:30, by the way.
That's true, yeah, Taka. I washed. I'm a little Malav Malchus. I'm supposed to say stories, Malav Malchus. I said a story. Shiner, Mamish.
All right.
Mamish the way around.
Chassidische.
The one at the
He
bottom
turned
of the
Chassidische.
Reb Chaim or Strangel, so it's fine.
Yeah,
Yaakov, you mamish a Rebbe She'eniko Gemara.
that's right. That's right. Yeah. So Amar Rabba Bar Bachana, you see it? Amar Rabba Bar 15
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
Rabba Bar Bachana, Amar B'Yochanan. Tavach Uman Shekilkel Chayim. If a Tavach Uman was makalkel, meaning he shechted it improperly. Bafilu hu Uman Ketavche, so he's chayiv, he has to pay for the animal. Bafilu hu Uman Ketavche Tzipori, even if he's mamish an expert like the sheikhdim of Tzipori, right? If he messed it up, he's got to pay. So Gemara asks, "Be Rabbi Yochanan achi? Did Rabbi Yochanan really hold he has to pay?" But Amar Rabba Rabbi Chana of the Hava Kamedu Rabbi Yochanan. The Knishta de Ma'ain in the Beis HaKnesses in the Shul of Ma'ain. V'Amar Lei and Rabbi Yochanan said to the Sheikhet, "Zil Aisi Raya the Memchus L'Tarnagolim ve'Afterach. Just you have to show me that you're a mumcha to shech chickens, and then I'm going to pater you." Right. So what does this mean? I mean, he had to show him his certificate that he's a shay, that he can shech chickens. Right? The shot for this is, I don't know what the makar is, but if somebody's considered a expert to shech chickens, that means it's much harder to shech chickens than animals, than cows. So if you're an expert in chickens, that means you're an expert in cows. If you're an expert in cows, does not mean that you're an expert in chickens. Right? So that's what he said. Prove that you're
It's not the other way around. I think that
No.
the mice isn't it more the other way around?
No, as far as I know, not. No, I would have thought like you, Rachamim.
I mean, that's that's kind of what I get from the chevra that shacked. You know?
Well, I don't know. I listen. Well, like with all these halachas, anything I think it's the halacha is total opposite. So it just fits right in with the rest of the sugyas.
It does depend which way you're looking at shchita. If this is very technical, the larger the animal is, the bigger everything is inside of it. It's much easier to tell on a cow when you've gone right of the way through both simanim than on a chicken. A chicken, yes, you have to stretch to find the simanim. On a cow, they're huge. You can tell immediately if you've gone right of the way through.
Is that the pshat? Why? I thought. Okay, I just thought it's complicated to shech.
There's much more stuff to check by a behemoth than by a chicken.
Yeah, that's
you're talking about the organs.
That's the neat check for trephus, but the actual shchita, I guess, is more complicated about chickens.
Okay, it's a much more complicated method. I mean, that's part of the deal, isn't it? The method, the knife. All right. All right, what do I know? Huh?
Yeah, if you want, you could check the Shach and Choshev Mishpat, Reish Vav, Sifkot and Zayin. That's the source. But anyways, fine. So whatever it is steer on Rabbi Yochanan, because Rabbi Yochanan here said, "Show me a proof that you're a good shaychet, and you're potter." So it's a steer on Rabbi Yochanan. So like kasha kam bechinam kam b'schar. When he's not chayiv, that's when he's doing it for free. He was getting paid, so you're getting paid to do a good job. You didn't do a good job, so then you're out. You're liable. If you want to make, it's a sneaky thing to do, but you go to the town shaychet and he's going to shech for you. But if you want to make sure that he's going to be chayiv, if he messes it up, give him a dinar first. Say, hey, here's $1. Right, here's $1 before he shechs. Right, and then
has to be before, not that you're paying him after he does the job.
I guess he's free. I'm not. If he's charging you, then l'chayra you don't have to. But if he's not, that's why I understand it.
No, but what I was saying, you're saying give him $1. What if I say I'll give you $1 after you're done?
Um,
Or I'll pay you after you're done. Has to be
yeah.
specifically before?
No, it's a shaila whether it has to be specifically before, right? It's not a, you're for sure, if you give him a dino before, you're for sure okay. If you do it after, it's not so simple.
You say the shach and chayshin mishpat reishvav?
I think so. I think that was the Maramukam. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, Shinvav. Reish, Shinvav. Anyways. Okay, so now we're being machala between whether you're paid or whether you get it free. So Meisvei, we have a kasha on that. If you brought wheat to get ground up, how do you say it's lusaton, right? And he didn't soak them, right? So I guess you have to soak the wheat before you grind it. Basan subin, and because he didn't soak it, it became into a bran. Subin or mursan, right? It was not nearly as edible. So or kemach lanachdaim, you brought flour to a baker, vaso pas nifulin, and he made some sort of lousy bread, right? He made a sourdough instead of regular challah, something like that, or regular challah instead of sourdough, right? Behema latavach. So then, or you brought a behema to a shreichet benivla, and he made it into a nevela. Chayev, he's chayev b'nei shehu k'noises sachar. The reason why he's chayev is because he's like somebody who took money, right? Meaning, what's a pshat? Because even though he doesn't get money, Rashi says he's chayev. Why? So because he's a pesheya. If you took on a job, even if you're doing it for free, you should be chayev. So that's a kasha to what we just said. We just said that if he takes it on for free, he's potter. So not kin noisesacher, change it. It's not that he's like somebody who got paid. He did get paid. That's why it's fine. Fine. Next case. So there's a magramusa, meaning hagrama is, okay, I don't know exactly. You need one of those picture books. This is for chulin. So Rashi, there's basically rings around the windpipe, and the way you cut through it, it's really just cut all the way through. But this one cut through a little bit of it, and then he turned the knife and he went up. Wherever it is, he messed up the shechita, right? So tarfe. But it's a shaila whether the shechita is treif or not. It's a machlokes and chulin, right? So he went to the Rav to ask him. So he came in front of Rav. Tarfe, he said it's treif. And he pattered the shaychet from paying for his mistake. So he gave. Well, we're going to see now. Was it a kula or a chumrah? Depending on which angle you come from, he was either being machmer or mekel. So, but his psak was that the animal's treif and the shaychet not liable. Fine. So Pagarev Kahana Ravasi Bahu Gavra. But Kahana Ravasi met the guy, the owner of the behema, right? That's what Rashi says. They met the owner of the behema. Rav Tarti, and they said Rav did two things to you. So now that's all he said. So the Gemara asks, my Tarti, what did he mean that Rav did two things to you? 11 things to you. Why the because he should have passed him that it's kosher, like Rabbi Yehuda, and he made a treif according to Rabbanon. Binami or Kirabanon, or he goes with the Rabbanon, and even saying even if he went with the Rabbanon that it is treif, right? The Bailei Chiyuv L'Tavcha, he should have made the Shaykhet Chayiv, right? So he messed you up in two ways. He should have mattered the meat, and even if he didn't matter the meat, he should have at least made the shaykhah pay you back. So meaning, there's a typical thing. The guy goes to a rabbi, and then he meets people, and he tells what the rabbi did, and people tell him, the rabbi was machmor on you twice. You should go to a different rabbi. They didn't say that part, but that's what happens. So Gemara says, "Umi shari lememar ki hagavna." Is it mutter to say like this? Vatanya lekeshiyatza leYomar. When person goes out from a bezdin lo yamar, he can't say meaning the dayan can't say, Ani mezaka v'chaverim v'chayvim, right? This is a typical thing to do. If it was up to me, right? They tell the people, like, if it was up to me, I would have let, I would have battered it. But all my chaverim in the bezdin didn't want to let it go, right? It's a typical bad guy, bad cop, good cop type thing to do. So you're not allowed to do that. But my friends overpowered me. Somebody who is, if you do say rechilas, then you're megalaside. Somebody who tells secrets is over on rechilas, right? Even though this is a pasuk in Mishlei, not a pasuk in the Torah. But and unfortunately, when things get out and the rumors go, then it's a terrible thing, right? Terrible things going on. Either way, so it can't be that that's what Rav Kahana Ravasi was saying to him. It can't be they were saying azah rechilas on Rav. Ela tarti l'malyusa. Then when they said that he did two things to you, he must have meant this milus. The loy ochlach safik yisura. He did a good thing for you because he mas paskin lechumra. So now you're not eating safik yisur. Umanach mi safik zayla, and he took you away from a safik zayla, because if you would have forced the shaykhit to pay you, then you could be over on gazela too, right? So they were saying that Rav saved them from he saved them from potential eating treif and from potentially being a crook.
It's an amazing switcheroo, this.
Why?
It's the same exact two things. It's just a different way of looking at them. You should have passed him like the Rabbanan rather than Rabbi Yehuda. Oh, but the other way of looking at that is, he took you out from a Safek Tarfus. And he should have passed him like the Rabbanan L'chayiv. Oh, he took you out of Safek Zayla to say Pater. It's the same two things, just a completely different perspective on the same two things.
I mean, it's the same rechilas. It's just a matter whether you get it from the chumrah.
Just a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, you're right. So what do we learn out from that? That maybe if a person means well, you could say it.
Or at least if he says it in a good way.
Okay, I don't know.
I and told, maybe an I and told.
The action is saying it's the same thing. It's just a matter of if you're looking at it from the, from the makeup part of the chumrah, Like Rabban, what is the story with Reb Chaim on Yom Kippur? Right? He said, "I'm machmer b'kuach." What was it?
On when Hatzalah, Ramoshin and the Briskerov, I'm Machman Hilchas Bekuach Nefesh and making one Hilchas Shabbos. That's all. One says I'm Machman Bekuach Nefesh. It's not that I'm making one Shabbos. I'm Machman Bekuach Nefesh. No. I mean, right. you could say that you could say Yisrael Salatu when he made Kiddush on Yom Kippur. All the other Rabbanim didn't. He didn't. He was a young Rav then. He wasn't from the Zaken of Vilna. He was from the Zaken. He was a young Rav.
Right. So that's
he got a lot of flack for it. There wasn't. There's a famous mitzvah. He got a lot of flack for it.
Yeah. So that's the same type of thing here. He says, yeah, and I'm costing you money, but the bottom line is that you're not eating treif and you're not a gazlan, right? People don't understand this. Like when they don't want to go to Bezdin about money, so they say, okay, I'm going to keep the money, I'm going to be meichel the money. But if you're not legitimately meichel the money, right, then you could be causing that guy, if he's incorrect or you're incorrect, you could be a ganav, right? You have to know how these things work. Okay, weiter. Itmar, the second line from the wide lines. Itmar hamara dinar. So now we're done with shchita. Now we're into money changing. Itmar hamara dinar l'shulchani. If a guy shows a dinar to a money changer, he wants to know if it's counterfeit. And meaning, and the guy told him it's okay, and then nimtzara, it ended up being that it was not okay. Meaning the guy told him, yeah, don't worry about it, it's a legit currency. Then he goes to spend money, and they put it under the whatever the light, and they say, nah, this is counterfeit. So Tani Chada Uman Potter. We learned one that the Uman is Potter. The Hajir Chayev and a Hajir is Chayev. And we learned another one that whether he's a hedged, whether the woman's a chayiv. Now, the harder part about this, it's one thing by a shaychet, so the shaychet messed up the shchita. Here, what did he do? He just gave you the wrong information.
But now I went to use that. I went to use it. So what's the ramifications of the mistake he made?
The ramifications are that he probably swapped the money out for other money, and the guy that he swapped with is long gone. That's the way I understand it.
So I ended up losing money.
I know, but I didn't do anything. You're the one.
You told me that it was good, and it wasn't good.
So if the money changer exchanged him the money, then I understand. Right? If he actually is the one that exchanged him the money, I understand that. But if he stam went for an eitzah to him, right? I mean, the lashon of hamara dina l'shulchani. And Rashi says he showed him the money to know whether it's legit or not. Good. So you went to a guy that's a bad diagnostics guy. He didn't do anything wrong. You're the one that got stuck with the coin. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot different. Lani is taiti, but when it comes to this, I don't have any das. I don't know what I have with das. I certainly don't have any das for this. Lani is taiti. It's like if chas v'shalom somebody goes to a doctor and the doctor actually gives the guy the wrong medication, right? So you could give a Tylenol, but if you go to a doctor and he just diagnoses it wrong, okay, so you didn't do anything about it. So, or even if you did something on your own about it, it's much harder to go to the guy. It's just, I just told you what I think it is, right? I didn't do anything bad to you. You're the one that did it to yourself. So I don't know. It's a little hard for me to understand. Either way, it's the same stira. The stira is one brisa says doesn't make a difference if a guy got paid for his advice or didn't get paid for his advice. I'm sorry, not paid. Whether he was an expert or he was just a novice, right? He's chayiv, and the other one says only if he's an expert. I'm sorry, only if he's an expert, he's potter, right? Which is another thing that's hard to understand, right? The expert should be the one that's chayiv, no? You claim to be the expert and you botched it, and then what? You're potter, right? I don't know. Okay, it's hard to understand. Okay, either way, so Amar Papa, the Kitanya Uman Potter, Danku ve'Isser, the Loy Tzrichi leNigmar Klal. It's going according to Danku and Isser that they didn't need to learn anything at all, meaning they were such experts, right? That they're going to be potter, but anybody less than them is going to be chayiv, right? It's interesting. Tosis. How come the Gemara just didn't answer one was getting paid for his advice and one not? Right? Why don't we just say that we have a stira, whether the guy's responsible or not? So the bottom Tosis of the Tani Idach, right? Why can't you do that? So he says, very interesting. I thought it was interesting. So Tosis says, to recognize a coin, it needs a major bekiyas. Unless you know that you're a real expert, do not get involved. Right? You got involved and you're not an expert, you are liable because you should not have opened your mouth on something that requires such an expertise. How did such experts mess up? If you're talking such an expert, so you're potter. Okay, so then how did you?
There should be a lesson to certain rabbanim who try to get involved in things they don't know what they're talking about.
100%. 100%.
Right? Certain or most.
100%. No jokes. No jokes.
Isn't that a raya that the Danku ve'Isser were
therapists
it
too,
was an inus.
Too, but that's a different story. But,
you would think if you went to a shulchani, that's an expert, no? This is dealing with money all the time.
Right, but a big expert is potter. That's going to be the Gemara's next kasha. If he's such an expert, then how did he botch it?
Doesn't that mean it's obviously an inus?
Why is it?
The other guy's going to jail for counterfeit. The shulchani's sitting pretty. I don't know. It seems like the shulchani. Well, it's not fair. I mean, they thought it was a perfectly good dollar.
Yeah.
What
But let's see.
happens here?
Let's see.
So Yaakov,
Yeah.
now I have, because they didn't shut up, so I have to say it. So Bob Gibson was in trouble. So Tim Carver came out to talk to him. So Gibson says, "Get back behind the plate." Says the only thing you know about pitching is that you can't hit it.
Very good. I hear. Okay, that's a good story. It was Kedai. Yeah. So bottom line is the Gemara is saying unless you're an expert, you're going to be liable. Do not open your mouth unless you're a Vade expert. So then the Gemara asks the obvious question. End of this first of the widest lines. So then Elabamai toe, if he's such an expert, so then how'd you botch it? So he says this is also very negay Aaron Kaplan to Rabbanim. To b'sichsa chadata, they made a mistake with a new coin that he shot at the Novim Mituse Sichsa that came out from under a new stamp, right? Meaning there was a new currency that these guys, they're old school, so they don't know anything about it. Right? They didn't realize that they didn't know anything about it. So Mamela, I guess that's the way I understand it, that they didn't know. And you see this a lot with Rabbanim too. Sometimes you ask the contemporary, shilas that go on with medical stuff and all that. You ask to the old Rabbanim and they look at you, especially in Taras and Mishpacha areas, different types of birth controls, different types of procedures, and they look at you like, I have no idea what you're talking about, right? You got to go to the younger rabbis who are used to hearing these type of shilas. Now, it doesn't seem the older rabbis can't understand it, but sometimes obviously they could understand it. But sometimes they're just not hold. They're in their old school. They're in their old school training. Anyways, fine. So there was a lady. The Chazi dinner Reb Chia. She showed money to Reb Chia. Amar la ma'alya. It's ma'alya. It's a good coin. The machar asay lekameva amrle. She came to him the next day. She came to him and said to him, "Avzise, I showed it. But amrli bishahu. They told me it's no good. The loikonofically, and they're not taking it from me. Meaning it doesn't work." So Reb Chia, she's telling Reb Chia that he made a mistake. Amrle leRav. So he said to Rav. So what interesting historical point here. Rashi points out that Rav was the Shomer Genozov Sherabi Chia, who was his uncle. Right? Rav, besides for being Rav, he was also Reb Chia, his uncle's financial manager. Right? I don't know where they had the time to do all this, but okay, he was his financial manager. So Reb Chia told Rav, right, Zil Chalfei Nehela, go swap out the coin for her. The Kosev Pinkasi, and please write down on my thing, Din Asik Bish, that this business was bad. Mamish for Purim, right? Write down. See, when something bad happened, write it down in the book. It's an Adar, right? Write it down. When something happens, you write it. Write down that I botched it. That's what I think he means, right?
Does it mean that he took the achrayus for it?
He took the achrayus. It says that.
No, forget not achrayus. He took the loss.
He took the loss. Yes. Look at the bottom of Rashi. Rashi says, "Din Asik Bish Schoira Rohi." It was bad business. Shal Iski Chinam Ani Mafsid. It was for no reason I lost. I shouldn't have looked at it.
Did he get paid for it?
No, it doesn't sound like he got paid for it. Doesn't sound.
Then
like
why would he have to take the loss?
The Gemara is the Gemara is going to ask that, right? The Gemara is going to ask the next kasha. Why did he have to take the loss? Right? He was an expert. Assuming Reb Chia was an expert.
Right?
Why did he take the loss? No, but it's interesting that he wrote that for no reason I took this loss because I shouldn't have gotten involved. Right? So the Gemara asks, those are the two experts, the Patiri Mishum Deloitte Tzrichu Lemigmar, right? Because they don't need to learn anymore. They're already experts. They already graduated. Reb Chia was also an expert. He didn't have to learn anymore. Meaning Reb Chia was not missing anything, any information. He was an expert. So our answers, Reb Chia, Lefnim Shuruzadin Hudavad. He did Lefnim Shuruzadin. He messed up for a lady with her coin, so therefore he paid for it. Because the Tani Reb Yosef,
kind of qualified immunity, like the cops kind of qualified immunity because of their position. But he said no, but be sure as I did, I'm not part of it.
Right? Yeah.
I'm always gonna get it. I'm always gonna get it. A person is mechuyev to answer the shilos if he can, right? For other people, the Torah. But if he doesn't and he messes up, he has to swallow it.
Yes, we're gonna get to it on Amud Aleph. Yes, it's a stupid thing to do this voluntarily. Yes, which I tell you.
Isn't
Then,
this
so at least charge for it.
At least charge for it. Yeah, maybe. Well, that's what we said. The previous Gemara, charging makes you more liable, though.
Okay, but at least if I'm making liable, I can make money to cover myself when I make a mistake.
Yes, it's true. 100%. You're right. What are you saying, Iran?
Isn't this the same thing like legal experts? Like a lawyer might go ahead and say, I'm not giving legal advice, because if he was, then he'd be on the hook.
Yeah, I think that isn't that what all the people sign?
Exactly. It's the same thing nowadays.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right. That's true. Anyways, so now we start today's daf.
Yago, you got 20 minutes to do the daf. Look at that.
Peretz, look at the size of the daf, man.
Yeah, you didn't prepare properly, Peretz.
We're doing the Taisus and Naftali. Anyways, the Tani Rabbi Yosef. So, like Rabbi Yosef said, and we're a few weeks late for this, but Vaidatam Lahem.
I'm all in.
Yeah, I hope not. Right, so the pasuk says, "Vaidatam esem es hachukim es haTorah, Vaidatam Lahem es haderech yelchuba es hamasa sher yasim." Right, this is Yisroi. This is for last week's parsha. Right, Yisroi telling Moshe, right, you should tell them about all the laws of the Torah, chukim, right, and let them know the derech yelchuba is hamasa asher yasim, and the way that's supposed to behave. So what does this mean? By data lehem, what do we learn out from that? Zeh beis antomid aleph, zeh beis chayeyim. That's referring to beis chayeyim, which Rashi says, l'chara means beis chayeyim is taiched as the house of their lives, which might be understood as a livelihood, a living, right? So we have a little bit of a stira, because here Rashi says it's Talmud Torah, and Rashi and Bava Metzia. Let's see if we can. This is coming up in Be'erech 50 days, 50 days. Bez Hashem and Bava Metzia, right? Rashi says it means to teach them livelihood, right? So I don't know. Unless the Talmud Torah teaches them a livelihood. Maybe that's the answer to the stira, right? I don't know. Okay, but here Rashi says Talmud Torah. Fine. As a derech, zu gemilas chasadim, you got to do chesed. Yel chuba, zu bikur chaylim. Right? You have to go visit, visit people that are sick. I'm sorry, ze bikur chaylim. Ba, zu kfura. Ba is referring to kfura. As maisa, the maisa ze hadin. So you see that you're supposed to go lifnim mishuras hadin, right? So then why doesn't everybody have to go lifnim mishuras hadin? Why dafka Reb Chia? This is not only meant for the rabbis, I don't think. It's meant for everybody to go lifnim mishuras hadin. So, but I guess you're not mechuyev. From here, the pasuk makes it mashma. You're mechuyev to go lifnim mishuras hadin. So if you're mechuyev to go lifnim mishuras hadin, then everybody should have to pay for their botched. Misdiagnosis on a coin. So I'm not sure.
It could be it's just for Rabbanim. This is the parsha where Yisro is telling Moshe to teach Rabbanim what to do.
I was wondering that. Is he only talking to Rabbanim that they have to go to Nimishur Zadin, but not the Hamoinam? Could be.
It's Yisro telling Moshe what to do to Rabbanim, how to make a Rav.
Instructing the klal what to do. It's not just Rabbanim.
Well, he was
he wasn't. He was
that because Moshe was overwhelmed with dealing with all the halachas, right? That's really it's I hear.
Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't overwhelmed. Yisro said you will be overwhelmed.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu agreed with
Moshe
Yisro.
Rabbeinu was.
HaKadosh Baruch Hu agreed with Yisro. Moshe was overwhelmed.
Enough that he gave the Torah in the parsha of Yisro, right? Different. But anyway, Taisus maybe wants to be mechalik between the fnimashurs in between you and others, and just between you and Hashem. Okay, but Rish Lakish achvile din roll Rebbe Lazar. Rish Lakish showed a coin to Rebbe Lazar. Amar Ma'al Yehu. Rebbe Lazar told him it's good. Amar Lei. Notice again how it's the Rabbanim that are the Pekim and the money, right? Amar Lei Chazid Allah Kasam Samchina. So Rish Lakish was smart. He told him. He said, "I'm being Saimach on you for this." Amar Lei Kisamach Dalei Ma'ila Member. What are you telling me that you're being Saimach on me? Right? You're telling me that you're telling this to me that you're relying on me because if you find that it's a mistake, then I'm going to swap it out for you. You're the one that says that Remeir holds that you're down the din of Garmi, like we had on Thursday. Garmi is a form of Grama. Right? So you said that Remeir holds that you're liable for Grama. Let's call it just Grama for that, for the sake of clarity. Right? So it's all this is a grama, just because, like we said before, if I tell somebody that his coin is good and then it's no good, that's not a direct damage. That ain't grama gedola mizu. Right? I didn't damage him. I told him that his coin is no good. Now he lost because of it. So I'm a grama. I'm not anything else. Right? And my love, Remeir v'loy svirulan kavasei. But by you saying that we go with Remeir, so you meant like we have Remeir and you don't hold of him. So Amar Lei, Rish Lakish told him back, Loi, Remeir v'svirulan kavasei. It's Remeir, and we go like Remeir, that if you do a dina de garmi, then you're going to be chayiv. So this is a garmi. If you're going to tell me that the coin is good and it ends up not being good, then you're going to be chayiv. Fine. Now the Gemara says, hey Remeir. So which Remeir is it that dons garmi? Ilem Remeir. The Gemara says a shortcut to understanding. Ilem Remeir the dan is a din. If somebody, right? So listen to this, Zev, about a dayan. Right? We just had this in the Sefer Achinuch and the Shabbos here. Dan is a din. If somebody dons a din, zika is a chayiv, and he made a mistake. A dayan, he was mezaka, the one that was chayiv, and chayiv is a zaka. I mean, he paskined the opposite. Right? Times atar, he made somebody tahar tame, tier is a tame, or he did the opposite. Right? And then this is the hard part. Masha asa v'yishalim b'beis. What he paskin, and it sticks, but he has to pay. Right? Now this is not pashut. This is not in all situations. It really sugis in Sanhedrin. But the way the Gemara is paskening it here is that the psak stays, right, and he has to and he has to pay. Now Taisus, one of that big Taisus there, that all works with Nezikin, right? Okay, so he messed up with the psak. So one guy pays him money and the other guy pays him back. You pay him back, fine. But what about Torah and Tameh? Right, look at the Taisus. Don't worry. It's 6 lines down in the Tosfos Tiaras Atome. I mean, we have to read this Tosfos, at least the first line. It says, "Ef sheli yashiv." It's impossible to explain Tiaras Atome b'shum inyan. There's no way to explain that if a rabbi is matar something that's tame, elokishe irvu im peroisov. That's only once the guy mixed the tahar thing into his peiros, and now there's a bittul, or whatever. But if the guy, I mean, if a rabbi paskins tahar on something that's tameh, and then somebody realizes a mistake, you got to call up the guy and tell him, by the way, I made a mistake. It's tameh, right? I have this sometimes with the Dika Klos or whatever. I think it's okay. I'll answer him, and then I'll feel a little bad. I'll show it to other rabbis, and they say, okay, it's not good, so I have to call them back, and they say it's usually I do this before I answer them. But sometimes it happens that I answer them and then I look at it again, and it's of course you call them back and you tell them that it's a problem, right? That's what Tyson is saying. So here, let's say it was peiros. So of course you have to call them back. If they already mixed it in with their other peiros, so then that's a different story.
It's similar to a parallel and dover. The Beis Din rules wrong, and then they have to bring their b'chayev to bring a parallel and dover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. People make mistakes. Yes, that's right. Okay, Bez Hashem, we'll see this whole sugi in Sanhedrin. Anyway, so what is the one saying? So what do we want to see from this?
Psak.
What?
So why are we reversing the psak?
When? We're saying we're not
said-
reversing.
Masha asa v'yishalom.
He
Why?
has to pay. He has to pay because he caused somebody damage. Shaloi kedin.
No, Masha asa means what?
What he did, what he paskined, he paskined.
Why? Why say like that?
Because he already paskined it.
That's what we're not understanding,
Yeah,
Zev.
that's the hard
He,
part.
he tells the guy the Bedika cloth was fine. Then he calls up an hour later and the guy gets himself on. We're in the world of Astoria. We're not taking any phone calls.
Well, I guess.
Then what does he do? I'm not asking you what you would do, Ripsi Yaakov. It's none of my business. It's none of my business.
Let me tell you something. Once you just brought up a sore point.
With Priceline, a different hotel.
No, I brought up a sore point because somebody, in the middle of all this people going to hospitals on Friday, of course, I said it over today at the Chabura in the afternoon, the Sefer HaChinuch. So somebody dropped off a B'dik cloth earlier in the day. Normally my mailbox tells me when it's dropped off. For whatever reason, it didn't function. So in the middle of the daf, they texted that they passed the B'dik cloth, which was not during 7 clean days. So they needed an answer. I mean, she would be mutter if the answer. So I said to them, 5:15. So I texted, we just started the daf. I'll answer you about a half hour. Then I got distracted. By the time I got to it, and it was okay, it was already a minute after Lichbench. I don't know if I answered her on the phone. I don't know. Maybe I should have called her phone, but she would answer. Whatever. I texted the answer. But I hope they got it. I was feeling really guilty. What should I tell you? I was feeling really guilty because it was kosher. It was good. Then this morning, by the Chabura today, the guy said, well, why don't you just walk to their house? I said, I don't know exactly where they live. I know Be'erich where they live. And I don't know why it didn't dawn on me. I should have just walked over to their house. It would be a 15-minute walk, but that's what I should have. It didn't dawn on me for any. I texted his phone, her phone. I hope they got it. I don't know. But I mean, it's not exactly the same thing, but you're right. You got it. If you made a mistake, it wasn't a mistake here. It was just, I mean, they told me they weren't expecting the answer anyways.
If they make a bris in 9 months, Icky's gonna buy you a Strimo.
I think they're on birth control though. If I remember correct. But it would be a good mice. It would be a good.
Then he should buy you a spudik.
Yeah, but whatever. I'm just saying. Am I liable now because I answered it late? Ich weiß nicht. I don't know. Anyways, we'll see this sugya in Sanhedrin. So what do you want to see from this? He has to pay from his house. It's a grama. He didn't do direct damage. It's a grama. Right? He told somebody to go pay. So Gemara answers, no, it's not talking about, he didn't stamp Paskin and then tell them to go pay. He actually went to their house and took the money. He repossessed it himself. He took the money and paid it back. So Mamela, he wasn't a grummer. He was a direct cause of it. So that's why he's chayav. Right? He's a mazik. Right? That's what Rashi calls him. He's a mazik. Okay, next case. Elohar Rameir. So, but this means it must be Rameir, our good old case. I think we've had this on every daf for the last, I don't even know how long, week. The tzvay loyadam v'tzavay shachar. Right? If you give it into the guy to dye it red and he dyes it black, shachar v'tzavay adam, or black and he dyes it red. Rameir Ayman Noisim Loi Demei Tzimrai. Rameir says that you have to pay for the wool. So you see, that's also grama. Right? Like we said, that the Gemara's Havamin is that it started dyeing first, meaning the dye went in first before it was damaged. So when it says Hasam Kava be a dye, what do you mean? That's not a grama. He did it with his hands. Right? So that's not grama. That's also interesting thing. Somebody takes, we'll get to this Bez Hashem in the Mishnayos, if not for a while, but somebody takes a grapevine and he puts it on top of wheat, which is klayim, right? Meaning he put the grapevine on top of the wheat. So now they're growing together. It's klaya keren, right? Wheat together with grapes. Hareza kiddush, he made it holy, b'chayev, and he has to pay for whatever loss because of klayim, right? So isn't that a grama? It didn't start. The damage didn't happen right away. Damage only happens once it starts growing. So the answer is Hasam Nami Kov B'Yadayim. No, he did it B'Yadayim. Right? Since even though it's not growing till later, but since Lamaisi, he actually put the vines on top of it, so that's not called Grama. Okay, so we still don't have a raya which Rameir holds of Grama. Eloha Rameir, the Tanya, in a similar case, Mechitzas HaKerem Shenivitzov, you have the wall of a vineyard broke, right? He has a vineyard. And we know that when there's a wall, let's say one guy has a vineyard and on the other side of the wall, the guy has wheat. As long as there's a wall in between them, it's not client. But then the wall falls down. So now you got to fix your wall. So Mechitzas HaKerem Shenivitzov fell onto Mebez now. Oimer loy gedor. So the neighbor says you got to build it up, otherwise it's going to be client, right? Nifritza, then he fixed it, and then Nifritza fell again. Oimer loy gedor. So the neighbor says fix it. Nisyashim men of loy guard. He says forget it, I'm not doing it, and it didn't, and he didn't build the fence. Hareza kiddush, then it becomes kiddush, meaning that's a lashon used for client. It became holy because the grapes grew together with the wheat. And and he's a chayiv as a chayis. Now that's also grama. He didn't plant the wheat together with the grapevine. He just didn't build up his fence. Yet Rameir says he's chayiv. So that's very much a clear-cut case of grama. Yeah, fine. Okay, Zok the Mishnah. Hanais and Tzemer Letzava. Right. If there are again a little variation of the case, somebody gives his wool to a dyer. V'gdichu yaira. Right, and the pot burned it, right? So nice and like the Meitzimra, he has to pay him back for his wool, right? That's what we've been saying, that if a worker messes something up, so he has to pay. Sabu Kor, which is very interesting because it's not Kior, it's Kor. If he dyed it bad, right? From the word Kior, Rashi says with an ayin, not a Kior means disgusting. He did a disgusting job. Right, not meaning replace the aleph with an ayin. So meaning he dyed it, but he did a bad job. So the thing is worth more money, just not worth as much as it should have been. So if the worth of the wool now is worth more than the costs to make it dyed, then he just gives him the what it cost him. And if the Yitzia is more than the Shvach, necessarily as the Shvach, he only gives him the Shvach. So basically, we say that he gives him the lesser of the two. He gives him the lesser of the two. So then the last case, if he tells him to do it red, he does it black, or the opposite. He just pays for the wool. Then nice and lay say Yitzia. If the improvement is more than Yitzia, then he just pays the expenses. Yitzia say Shvach, nice and lay as a Shvach. Right? So we have a machlokes how to deal with that. My car, talk to Gemara, what is car? Kalbus. It's kalbus. Okay, my kalbus. Amar Bar Shmuel on Talmud Aleph now. Kafra dude. What it is that Rashi says he wiped the vat with it, meaning he didn't dye it with the new dyes. You know, when you put in, eventually the water in the dyeing pot has its own color. It's just not going to be as deep a color as it would be if he put in the fresh dye. So Mamela, it dyed it, but not nearly as good. So if that's the case, so then that's not the exact amount of dye that he wanted. So it's considered kiyuv. Okay.
I died.
Look at that, Paris. We covered it.
It became like dead. Die.
I know it's yeah. I know. Somebody walks in and says he died it. Like somebody coming and says he died it. What kind of English are you talking over there, right? Anyways, okay. Tillim, yeah. Pay Gimel. Shir mizmal asaf elim adam ilach al techarash al tishkoid el ki yinei vechi yaman musanecha nasurai shalam chayirim usad yisel tzval tzvunecha. Amru l'chuban achine megavi lo yizachu shem yisrael oid pinoy to liv yachta v'lachat b'risi chroisi. Lo yadam yishmeil miyov agrim gvol v'aman b'amalak v'lashis miyosh v'tzor gamashim nidla'imim ha'yisrael v'nei lo yitzela. Aselam ki midyan kisisro ki yavam achakisha and nishmedu ve'indar ha'yidam el adama shisemo nidivei moy ka'oire v'chizei v'chizeva v'chitzamuna kol nesichemo asher amru nishalonu es na'ezeluhim and ha'shisemo k'galvam k'ashel fnei ruach. Keish tevar yarach lovat lahei torim kein tidufim b'sarecha v'sifas chasivalim malef neim kolon v'vakshu shemcha adonai ויבושו ויבולו עדי יד ויחברו ויאבדו וידעו כי אתה שם חדני לבדיך על יין על כל הארץ, אחינו כל בית ישראל, הנשאונים בצר